I think this is a question we've asked for the better part of 15 years now. Is this finally Denny Hamlin's year? Well, is it? To answer it, I think we have to look at a few key points of interest. You have to look at how the team has performed, Hamlin's consistency in his finishes, the ability for him to win, and if he can peak at the right time. So, with that, let's get into it. First off, there's how the team, whether that includes the individual 11 team or all of Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole, has performed. Well, so far this year, Hamlin has 2 wins, 16 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and so far his 2021 season has been a pretty darn good one. So far, that means that over 53% of the races he has run in the top 5, and 70% of the races have been top 10s. At this rate, he would be on track to get 19 top 5s and 25 top 10s on the season. This performance by the 11 team is strong enough to carry Hamlin to the championship race, especially since Hamlin historically runs well at tracks like Texas, Kansas, and especially Martinsville. But this positive performance by the 11 team isn't exactly the only JGR car or team to have speed towards the front. Both Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. have been running at a fast pace this year. Kyle Busch is running up front every week, no matter the track, and Truex has done the same while scoring more wins, including most recently at Richmond a few weeks ago over, what do you know, Denny Hamlin. So on that front, Hamlin looks to have covered his bases. Now, the second point I previously asserted is that consistency is a huge part of Hamlin's bid for the elusive title he's looking for. And like I said, over half of this year he's finished top 5, and most of the year he's finished inside the top 10. In the early parts of the season, many forget that Hamlin was so consistent that his season was being compared to the years of Jeff Gordon's peak. The man basically did everything but win a race, and many were asking if he could be the first Cup Series winless champion. While Hamlin cooled off a bit in the early summer, he has turned the jets back on once again, the playoffs starting, and he just begins to show tons of speed at both the 750 tracks and now at a 550 track. So I'd say that consistency is probably checked off the list. Now, having the ability to make the Final Four is nice and all, but it doesn't mean jack squat if you cannot actually win the race. Every year since 2014, and I mean every year, the winner of the championship in this winner-take-all format has had to win the final race of the season. And in most examples of this, they have also had to duel one or more of their championship rivals. So the ability to win is essential in winning a championship in the modern era of NASCAR. And in the last few weeks, Hamlin has shown once again his ability to win. And the fact that he can contend and win just about anywhere should terrify his competition and anyone who is fans of them. Now, this is all well and good at any point of the season, but it's probably the best if it all is done at the right time. Nowadays, blowing your load early is the worst possible thing you can do in NASCAR if you want to win a championship. But what Hamlin and Co. is doing right now is the opposite, the exact opposite. Since the start of the playoffs this year, Hamlin has scored finishes of 1st, 2nd, 9th, and again 1st. And while that's good, also let's look at 2 more metrics. He scored 74 stage points in 4 races and has won 5 out of the 8 stages run so far in the playoffs. Add on top of that the fact that he's led 545 laps in the first 4 races. Yeah, he's red hot right now, and he still has some of his best tracks like Talladega and Martinsville left to go on the schedule. While I think it certainly is possible that another driver can rise up really quick in performance in the last 6 races, with 6 races to go, it's not actually that probable. Someone might be good on that given day on Championship Sunday, but I don't think anyone's going to match that kind of heat, at least not right now. So far, Hamlin is peaking at the right time. But how is this any different than any other highlighted years in Hamlin's career? He's done this before where he's really good, gets everyone's hopes up, and then ends up blowing it. Well, there's 4 big ones I want to compare this to. 2006, 2010, 2019, and of course, 2020. In 2006, Hamlin took the Cup Series by storm. He swept the races at Pocono Raceway and ended up being a championship contender all the way to the final laps. It was truly remarkable seeing a rookie go far enough in to challenge for the title against guys like Jimmie Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. While he was consistent with 20 top 10s, and he had a good title run, his crux for all of this season was the fact that he just couldn't win that much. He didn't win at all in the last 15 races of the season. In 2010, Hamlin solved this problem. He won 8 times in 2010, including twice in the last 5 races. To this day, the 2010 season is the winningest season of Hamlin's Cup Series career. The team, for the most part, did well as well for him. The biggest problem was his inconsistency. On one night, he could lead over 200 laps en route to victory at somewhere, say, like Richmond. But on other nights, he'd just run mid-pack, and it'd be like he didn't even show up. You'd never see him on screen. At Homestead, the inconsistency he had was the final nail in the coffin of his championship hopes.
Nothing any of these guys can do. That hammering you hear is the sound of the nail of the final coffin on the Chase contenders' hopes of upsetting Jimmie Johnson.
He went in 15 points over Jimmie Johnson, and he left 39 points a runner-up. Now let's fast forward to the end of the decade to 2019. Hamlin seemed to be doing everything right. He had 6 wins in the season. He was extremely consistent. He seemed to be peaking at the right time after winning at Kansas in the round of 12 and then in the penultimate race of the season at Phoenix. Unfortunately, the 11 team's momentum was stopped by themselves. Hamlin looked ready to give Kyle Busch a run for the championship at the end of the race in Miami, but the car ended up nearly overheating due to the team adding too much tape to the front grille. This might have just ended up being the one that got away for Hamlin. And then there's last year. 2020 was amazing to start for Hamlin. He was so good that he was expected to fight Kevin Harvick, the other major guy that was winning a lot, for the championship, as the two combined to win nearly half the races last year. The problem? Well, he peaked around the midway point of the season. He only won once in the playoffs, and it was a controversial Talladega win at that. Also, he only had 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s in the final 10 races. So while he basically stumbled into the Final 4 in a drunken stupor, it was only good enough to get there. He stood no chance against Chase Elliott and the Penske duo that was against him. Now, 2021 looks almost like the inverse. As long as his team doesn't let him down, he should be a favorite to finally win it all in 2021. Of course, this is Denny Hamlin we're talking about, so it ain't over till inspection's over. But now, I want to hear what you think. Will Denny Hamlin finally win his first NASCAR Cup Series title in 2021? Let me know down in the comments why or why not. I would really love to hear it. Also, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR content like this. And to everyone who's a channel member and who supports the channel, I want to thank you all so much for that support. It means a ton. Until next time, have a good one.